I'm going to give you a list of 5 books. All of them are in different genres, from different times, etc. What does connect them is that I enjoy all of those books, and I do think that they are very good and a very good representation of the subcategory that they stand in. I was actually wondering about filming this video. I was thinking about making, for example, 5 best classics, but then I decided to just do this instead. And of course, my taste in books is very refined and amazing, so you should be thankful for this. No, but anyways, the first book is this, and it's The Hobbit by Tolkien. I feel like this is a book that everyone is aware of, especially especially the book that comes after this. Well, it's actually a series of books, A Lord of the Rings, and maybe have seen the movie, you have heard of it, you know someone who likes it, etc. But I think that The Lord of the Rings might be a bit inaccessible. I personally, because I'm such a genius, of course, I read it as a child, and I remember really enjoying it. And my mom was very confused because she did not like it even at that age. And I read it as a child and was fine, but not everyone is as genius and amazing as me. So I think that The Hobbit is actually a great introduction to the... Is this fantasy? I would say that this is fantasy genre, and it's classic fantasy. It is considered high fantasy, so the magic used here is quite conservative. It's all about world building. There is so much stuff going on here, and I just absolutely love this book. I actually got this particular one. It was new. I read it quite a few times, as you can see. It's getting yellow already. I think my dad brought this from like one of his work trips, and it was one of the first English books that I read, like a book in English, and it smells great. I love the smell of old books. I would recommend this to anyone who is interested in The Lord of the Rings but thinks that it might be a bit scary because those are quite big books. A lot of words being used that are not that common nowadays. I also think that people who enjoy autumn and being cozy and making stuff at home and cooking, etc., cottagecore people, the cottagecore crowd would love this book. There is a lot of descriptions, especially back in Hobbiton, is it? No, the Shire. Especially in the Shire, there is a lot of descriptions of different food and of sceneries, and yeah, it's very descriptive. It really paints a picture, and I think that it is a great start to get into fantasy. Later on, of course, you can get into Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Those are the only fantasy books that I have read, I think. Also the Witcher series. But yeah, this is like this is a great gateway into that. So as we have talked about fantasy, let's get back into the real world for a second. And the second book that I want to talk about is actually not a book, but it's a subgenre of books that I feel is quite underappreciated. And it is biographies, autobiographies, etc. of influential people, artists, and just public figures. But the key point is that you need to pick someone that you actually are a fan of, someone that you want to emulate, someone that you are aspiring to be like. And of course, you need to do some research on those particular books because it really depends. There is some people, there is quite a lot of books on them, but then some of them maybe feel more like cheap journalism than an actual book, while some autobiographies can also be very egotistical and just not the best. So you do need to conduct some research, but for me personally, what I'm reading right now from this genre is Me personally, right now, I have two books in this genre that I'm reading, and this is this. It's actually from an antique store. This is quite an old book. It's, I'm not sure if you can see, it's Oscar Wilde. So this is a book by Richard Ellman, and yes, this is just an autobiography, not autobiography, this is a biography of one of, if not my favorite writer, though it's hard to say he's my favorite because he didn't write that many books. He did write a lot of plays, so maybe he's my favorite playwright. But yes, Oscar Wilde. So this book is more about his life, and it's not as inspiring. His life was quite sad if you are aware of what happened to him. But it's a pretty good book. Some things here are a bit questionable because it's quite old. I'm not sure what year this is from. What I do know is that it was from the local it's from 1988. So it's not, so this was from 1988, so this is not that old, but still quite old for my collection of books. Now this one is another book that I'm reading. So this one is Madonna, A Rebel Life by Marie Gabrielle. And I actually read another Madonna biography, but I do not remember what it was called. I'll show you a picture here. But it wasn't very good. It was talking a lot about like just rumors. It felt like those magazines from 2000s, like a gossip magazine. And that is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some inspiration, how she, or like the person that I'm reading about, achieved what they have achieved, etc. And Madonna is a very driven person, much more than I am. I feel like she could step over people and do whatever. I don't think I'm as ambitious as her, but still, it is. She is quite an inspiring person, and this book is quite a good look into her life. I think if you're like a Madonna fan, especially, you should read this. It's quite a big book. I think it has like, yeah, 800 pages. But yeah, this one is great. The other one wasn't. As I was saying in the beginning, just pick an artist, a public person, someone who you like, someone who you want to be like, someone in the field of your interest, etc., and read about them, research them, basically. I am personally always interested in musicians and sometimes writers, so I also really want to read a book about Kate Bush. I saw one at the local bookstore. Okay, next book. Actually, next book is going to be by Oscar Wilde, because I just talked about Oscar Wilde. I'm honestly not sure. So, the book is a picture of Dorian Gray, and I am currently rereading it for like third time probably. This time I got an uncensored version. I was not even aware that this existed until I saw it in someone else's video, and then I was like, what? Uncensored version? Okay, I'll get that. Guys, is there smut in this? How spicy is this book? Yeah, no. But the book does contain some fruity stuff, and back in the day that was unacceptable, so this is uncensored. This is from like the original manuscript. I haven't read it yet, so I can't say how much it differs, but I really wanted to have this one as well. So, what genre would I say? One thing that I have to say about this, so it is very hard to put a genre on this book. I actually put it, like I have my notes here, I put it as an aesthetic book, not visually, but just to me personally, this is one of those books that is written in such a beautiful way that you just want to highlight like most of it, scroll through, pick a page, and you will find so many quotes that you can put as your caption on social media. Just enjoy. It's a very beautiful book, and the way it is written is just, it's a masterpiece. And of course it makes sense because Oscar Wilde was really into aesthetics and beauty and all of those things, and he was more of a playwright, and plays, especially back in Victorian era, were quite dramatic and quite beautiful as well. The words that they would use, the words that they would use. Yeah, I honestly don't know what genre to put this in, but I just have to say that one of the most beautifully written books. It's like just one of those aesthetics. It's just one of those aesthetic books. Some other books that come to mind with how beautifully written they are is something like Wuthering Heights or The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I also highlighted like half of that book as well. And yeah, this is just a book if you appreciate good writing, if you appreciate aesthetics of writing. Maybe the plot here is amazing as well, but just you're here for the vibes. I did see some people say that this book is boring because nothing really happens for a while. But I think that is the beauty of it, because how he describes the mundane life of Dorian Gray and Basil, and yeah, it's uh, it's just a masterclass in creative writing. The next book, the next book is a very light read. I think I read this in like an hour or something probably. It's Metamorphosis. I really like this one. Of course, Franz Kafka did not want people to use the bug image, but here he's still like a person. I would put this as an introduction to philosophy, because on the surface level, this is just a fiction book about a man turning into an insect. But of course, most people are probably aware that this is just a way to describe depression. And I think there is a lot of questions in this book that are being asked, uh, and the reader needs to think about, and the reader really needs to think, and I feel like a lot of people will have a different answer to those questions. So for example, if someone gets really sick, well, they do become a liability somewhat to their family, but at what point? Well, there is a lot of questions, let's say. I'm not gonna go too much into it because maybe you haven't read this book. I don't think that this is positioned as philosophy, but I think that it is a great introduction, unlike something like Plato's Republic, which is a hard book to read. Let's just say that. I think this one is great. You can just start questioning stuff, thinking about it, but it's still quite easy. It's the same as George Orwell's novels like Animal Farm and 1984, though those are a bit less philosophical, I think. There's just like more clear answer in those. Here, a bit nuanced. The last book genre, the last book that I want to show you is actually not really a book. I am not sure what to call this, because it's not really a book. It's more of a comic book or a graphic novel. So I have my huge box set. So this is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki. And you probably have heard of Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. I am not sure if this is actually that popular. I don't think I saw a lot of people talk about this, but he, of course, is not just the director of... He, of course, is not just the director of those movies, but he is an artist as well. And he spent years making this there is actually a movie for Nausicaa as well, and it's one of my favorites from Studio Ghibli. But this book is developed much more, like further, and this is absolutely my favorite manga, graphic novel. I'm not even sure how to call it, but if you want an introduction, maybe for an introduction this is quite heavy because it's quite big, but still, I would definitely recommend this to anyone interested, and it's like a lighter read. I honestly no, still I would recommend this because mangas usually are quite short. This is actually better, I think. Um, I will insert a clip of like some of the panels here, but it's just Miyazaki is such a good artist. What I really enjoy in his work is that most of the time he really brings up all of the themes that are quite close to me as well. Themes like pacifism and all of the arguments against war and environmentalism and how so this one is let's say post-apocalyptic, so humanity how we know it basically destroyed themselves, and now the humans live in a toxic wasteland, and every day there is less and less humans. There's a bit of technology from back in the day, but no new technology is being made, and it's just very interesting. And well, I think it introduces it right away, so you will know like there is a bug here, so there is like huge bugs everywhere because of the radiation and stuff. Anyways, this book is about trying to be one with nature. It's about trying to do what is right, trying to. There are so many great themes here, and then it is a very. I believe that manga and like it's a very accessible format. I think even children can read this, but as an adult, you can also really enjoy this. And I have like the box set, so they're all in 2 books. But I think there are also an option. I think there is also an option to buy them as like separate little books, but I'm not too sure. The art in this is also absolutely stunning, and yeah, I think not a lot of people actually recommend like manga and graphic novels on this types. In this type of video, usually people don't recommend this type of books, so I feel like I'm bringing something new to the table. Come on, guys, no. But if you have read any of the things, that I have recommended in this video, or if you're very interested in them, or if you have your own recommendations for me, for anyone watching this, do leave them in the comments down below. I do need some comments. I need some engagement on my posts. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope I will see you next time. And I will leave my like link tree and stuff down below where you can find my Substack, which I just created. I haven't posted yet, but maybe by the time that I post this video there will be something there. My Instagram, I don't really use TikTok, but I think there will be a link there as well. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.